We all have that voice of putting ourselves down and shaming ourselves and finding all the reasons to be guilty and to be wrong and to judge ourselves very, very harshly. Especially if you're an empath and you're a highly sensitive person, then that voice in you is something constant that has probably been there since your childhood. And when it rises, and it rises often, it's harsh and it's self-demeaning and it's self-diminishing and it's painful. But what happens if we learn to not silence that voice, but to forgive it and to clear it out of our system? What happens if we learn to forgive ourselves, to forgive the parts of our past that were learned, that were taught this mechanism of always judging ourselves and always being harsh on ourselves? What happens if we operate on a day-to-day in an inner world that is based in peace rather than self-judgment, that is based in love rather than putting myself down? What happens if we operate in an inner world every day that is lifting us up instead of pulling us down? What happens if we operate every day in an inner world that celebrates us instead of putting us down? Can you imagine how powerful that would be? If you're a highly sensitive person and you're dealing with that thing every day of judging yourself and seeing the worst in what you're doing and finding places where you're wrong, what happens if instead of doing that, we would actually lift ourselves up every day? Imagine that. Just imagine for a moment what it might feel like if you would live in an inner world that lifts you up, in an inner world that celebrates you, in an inner world that it's not just loving you, because I think as sensitive souls, we know a lot about giving ourselves love when we need that, especially if we've been doing the inner work for years. We know how to give ourselves love. But do we know how to lift ourselves up all the time, live in an inner world that lifts us up? And what would that mean? Not just for us, but for the whole world. To be that kind of people. To be that kind of people that live in inner peace. Imagine that. What kind of world we would create here together if we would be people, sensitive people, that have an inner world of lifting us up and knowing our worth and feeling that worth and feeling balanced and feeling that even when things are not always the way we want them, we don't put ourselves down. And I always say that when the thing that we feel towards ourselves, we always do to others. You can't have a great inner world and be mean to others. That's not how it works. And you can have a terrible inner world and still be nice, but inside there's always going to be judgment towards others as well, and there's always going to be a reflection of that inner pain towards others. So if we want to create a better world here, if we want to create a world where we value one another, where we see the positive in one another, where we lift one another up, where we celebrate our differences and we see the good of that and we create something better together, then we have to create that inner world within us first. And that means that we have to change our inner world from inner war to inner peace. I literally don't see another way for that to happen. That's the only way that this thing could work. If we want to change the world and make it a better place for you and for me and the entire human race, then it has to go through the inner work first, and it has to go through making this inner peace first. You can't live in inner war and create world peace. It's not going to work, because the war is inside us. That war is inside you and inside me. And if we want to create peace in that world, between people, between nations, between sisters, between women, between children, between communities, between political opinions, if we want to create peace in this world, that peace has to start within you. So, yeah, the external work also needs to be done, of course, but the foundation for that external work is inside each and every one of us. So start with your inner peace. Start with your words that you speak towards yourself. Starts with all the places that you judge yourself. Starts with all the places that you allow your inner world to reflect more and all the places where you allow that war to rule your life. And I'm not saying that all the pain in the world and all the pain inside us will just go like that. But our movement towards inner peace, our movement towards lifting ourselves instead of judging ourselves, our movement towards seeing the good in ourselves, our movement towards giving a hug to ourselves when we feel some kind of self-judgment, self-pain, self-diminishing, all of these kind of lowering energies, all of these inner war movements. How can we? How can you? How can I change that? Transform that into inner peace? And one of the answers, of course, might be through healing, self-healing, doing the inner work, sure. But another part of it is just commitment. Yeah, it's just commitment. Because the inner peacemaking process, which is what I do best, right? I'm a healer, so what I do is help people go through their inner processes and heal. But the inner war will still lift up its head every now and then. But the commitment to continue in this journey, and the commitment to go towards peace, and the commitment to have that as my base foundation, that's where the world changes. When our commitment is towards peace and not towards the comfort, which is war. When our commitment is towards inner peace, that's when our inner worlds start to change. And when our commitment towards global peace, world peace, is our baseline, that's when the external world begins to change. And if you hear these words and you're saying, I feel you, I know what you're saying, I feel it in my body, I've been feeling it for years, then you're in the right place. Because in this channel, that's what we're all about. Healing ourselves to heal the world, changing the world, each and every one of us, to create a better world for you and for me and for the entire human race. It just comes right out of me. That's the way that that my brain sees it, I guess. How it's built in there, that song. And if you have been feeling that for many, many years, then welcome to our channel. Please hit that subscribe button, because this is the content that we talk about. And we'll love to see you in the next videos, sharing, talking, reflecting, and creating a new world for all of us.